And I'd like to bring up the MetricStream team from our product division, but they're led by our co-CEO, Prasad, waiting in the wings here, our head of product, Raghu, and our head of engineering, Joy. So the dream team can take on the next session. All right, I toned down the dream team. Okay, thank you. Over to you.
Where's the clicker? All right. I'm Prasad Sabineni. I joined MetricStream almost coming up 3 years. Prior to that, I spent considerable amount of time in banking industry, building risk and compliance solutions. And we actually evaluated many products over that period of time. And a little preamble before I go into what I'm going to talk about. Almost 5 years ago, when we undertook this risk and controls journey at a large organization, bringing all lines of defense onto one single platform, we evaluated everything that was in the market at that time. And nobody has got anything close to what MetricStream offers as part of that low-code, no-code GRC platform. And as you heard from Gaurav, it's all connected GRC, one integrated risk management platform-based products. And the products are outlined in the middle, if you will, the business GRC, cyber, and ESG. And those are built on that integrated platform. And that was the power of MetricStream. And some of this technology is patented technology, which I can talk to you offline and take any questions. And in the last 2 years, since I've been here and at the summit last time in London, we have modernized our platform. We made it low-code, no-code. And after that, we exposed all of the APIs, the product-level APIs, what we call business APIs, along with the platform APIs. And out of the box, 30 connectors that are readily available if you're connecting to any data source to bring in data, if you will, or compliance intelligence, or vulnerabilities, scanner data, or threat libraries for cyber risk and what have you. All of those are readily available out of the box. And those are some of the enhancements we have made. And also, we have introduced what is known as what we internally refer to as Emory. It's a purpose-built, domain-specific language for GRC, which basically simplifies the amount of coding you have to do in the system. It's a higher level of abstraction whereby you can write in one sentence or 2 sentences it used to take like 20 lines or 30 lines of coding. It's built for GRC. We launched that as part of that offering. All of that encompasses what you see as part of the low-code, no-code GRC platform. And the products are built on top of it, so they're naturally interconnected because of the federated data model and the GRC libraries, what have you. And then recently, in June, this is quite exciting time for us, we introduced our AI product. We are not new to AI. We have been building AI solutions internally over the last 4 years. We started our journey with writing machine learning algorithms and leveraging some of the open source ML algorithms, if you will, for semantic search to providing any natural extension of that would be providing any recommendations and a recommendation engine. And now culminating into what we call Aspire, which is built on leveraging that technology, as well as what we refer to as GRC ontology-based knowledge graphs that we have built, and we leverage that to offer control, rationalization, and optimization engine. Basically, when you're running tens of thousands of controls in your organization, it helps you, and in some organizations I know even larger number of controls, it helps you deduping those controls, making sure those controls are not orphaned, they're not associated with any risk, or maybe you're doing some of those repetitive controls, which is a huge manual process. And this engine actually helps you in rationalizing those controls and optimization, which Raghu is going to talk to you or give a little bit more insights into it. And this is the complete ecosystem of connected GRC that MetricStream offers. And we're basically we're a product-led technology company. And the products you see are in the middle. Those are what we refer to as product lines. And underneath that, there are broadly 8 products. Just to keep it interactive, I'm going to ask a quick question. How many of you are using multiple products, or you may call that apps or modules? How many of you are using, let's say, 2 products? Anybody using 3 or more? I see a few hands. 4 products. So the power of MetricStream is really when you use these products or modules, whatever you refer to them internally, the interconnected nature of it, how we can bring cross-product insights across all of those risk and compliance tribes. That's really the power of MetricStream. And if you're not doing that, I suggest you grab one of us and get to know more about it. It's really about how you can draw correlations or interrelationships across risk and compliance, not only from a third-party risk, vendor risk perspective, but also ESG and so on. Next slide. And this is our product journey. We launched low-code, no-code GRC platform in October. As you all know, some of you who were here last year, we name our releases after major rivers. We started the journey 2 years ago with Arno, followed by Brazos, Colorado, Danube, and Euphrates. We launched Euphrates in October 22. Along with that, when we launched the low-code, no-code GRC platform. And in June of this year, we launched our Aspire product. This is the AI product that I just talked about. And if you all keep a secret, we are just calling it autonomous cloud risk and compliance, but there's a trade name to it. This is our co-innovation with one of the largest cloud providers. And we have co-innovated this product with them, and we'll be launching this product in November. It basically ensures your cloud compliance, in simple terms. Risk and compliance in an autonomous, continuous fashion of your cloud. And this is a major product launch that is going to happen very soon. That's what we're going to call it under secret name of autonomous cloud risk and compliance. I know it's a tongue twister, but there's a very simple name to it. That's going to coming up in November 2023. If I say anything more, you'll figure out what it is. And then because of Euphrates, when we launched this Euphrates journey, it was so large, we had split into phases. The second phase of Euphrates is all about a complete refresh of our UI and UX. And we already launched the first part of it to a select customer, and then we're going to launch it subsequently to a few other customers and complete the rollout of this entire Euphrates UI UX refresh, what we call internally, by March of 2024. Mike. Right, to your point, right? So it's not just March and we leave it open-ended. It's March 2024. It's coming out. It's already released for the first phase of it. And that will completely simplify how you interact with our products. And also simplifies a lot of the things you do, whether it's risk assessment or whatever function you're doing with fewer clicks. And there's a lot of autonomous, continuous integrations and work that is built into it. That is all going to be released across the entire platform and all of our products. And with that, we're going to go a little bit deep dive into Aspire, our AI engine, followed by all of the platform modernization work that we have been doing. I bring Raghu onto the stage, who's going to talk to you about Aspire. And I'm going to come back to the stage to wrap up and take any questions. Okay? Thank you. Come on, Raghu. Raghu is a doctorate, is head of our product management. Prior to joining MetricStream, he was also at banking institutions and Watson Labs.
Thank you, Prasad.
Over to you. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Hey, folks. We're very excited to present Aspire, our latest product offering, here in this session today. Now, I'd like to start off with a customer anecdote. Right? Now, we think this is important so we know the context behind why we launched this product. At MetricStream, we are very fortunate to work with several large global brands as our customers. And here is an anecdote from one such customer of ours. Now, this is a large global bank which has a very mature GRC program. They are headquartered in North America. Now, they run close to 10,000 assessments annually. And when you look at their control pass rates, you see that 95% of those controls have successfully passed, right? So which means they're doing pretty well. But then when you go at level deep and look at the signals, you see a few things occurring. Now, this bank, they reported a loss of $75 million last year. And 60% of those specific risk and loss events were attributed to this category called execution, delivery, and process management. Now, that specific category means that there are some control issues or control gaps. In addition to this, this bank also received about 20,000 complaints that were logged directly with the regulator. A large proportion of those, the bank had to pay remediation costs, and that costed them somewhere around $15 million. And they also have a direct hotline for their customers who can call and ask for service requests, make complaints, so on and so forth. And from that entire universe, they got about 100,000 complaints just in the last year that had to do with something around the process gaps. So what you see here essentially is, for this specific bank, the controls, if you look at the headline, they are doing fantastic, right? 95% pass rate, but there are all these other issues. Now you see that now they're spending a lot of money in terms of remediating the problems, but then you add to this the operating costs. They have large teams in the first, second, third line whose focus is to ensure control, to make sure all the processes are followed appropriately, so on and so forth. But in spite of all this, there are all these other problems that we see. Now, when we talk to several of our other customers, we see this particular situation is consistent. Now, the scale of the problem may be different, but the problem for sure exists. Now, this was the context for us to create a product, and specifically 8 companies address these specific issues. Now, with that, we present Aspire. Right? So Aspire essentially connects to an enterprise's GRC environment. Now, it doesn't matter what GRC tool an enterprise would use. Prefer it to be MetricStream, but it could be any other GRC source as well. It looks at these different aspects of GRC, the process libraries, the control libraries, tests, the signals, and provides answers to these 2 specific questions. That is, what are those controls that need to be tested, and when should those be tested, and what are the emerging risks and actions. Now, this is where we want the testing to be more proactive, the testing to be more risk aware, as opposed to having these predefined schedules that are set at the beginning of the year. Now, a little bit into what functionalities are encompassed in Aspire. So the first key element is the ability of Aspire to break down organizational silos. And we heard from Nationwide earlier this morning about the fact that there are these organizational silos even when you implement a GRC tool. Now, this is how a typical GRC environment looks like, right? So they may use a product, but then as data starts coming in, you'll see all these silos that exist. Now, this is where Aspire is able to dynamically identify those gaps and make those connections automatically. Now, this becomes a key foundation, and this is what Prasad referred to as our GRC ontology-based knowledge graph. Now, this very concept is what powers the rest of the use cases that we build on top of Aspire. Now, an important use case in Aspire is the ability to identify recurring patterns of control weakness from various signals, and these signals could be issues, frontline observations, could be incidents, threat events, risk events, losses, so on and so forth. Now, what Aspire does is, again, connects to these sources of data, slices and dices these whole chunk of signals coming in from different areas, identifies themes, and for these teams, identifies what some of the recommended actions are. Now, these could be actions in terms of corrective measures the organization can take. These could be control gaps and essentially the control recommendations that the product makes, or it could also be basically the risk exposure that the organization faces because of the whole host of signals coming in from different sources. Now, having an integrated GRC platform enables enterprises to know what those signals are, what those potential risk exposures are, and then take corrective action. And the corrective action could be to launch a risk assessment right then and there, rather than wait for the next quarter or 6 months, depending on when a particular risk assessment is scheduled. Now, another area of a problem for a lot of our customers is essentially the redundant controls. Large enterprises, you will see there is usually a duplication of controls. Right now, organizations typically end up working in silos, and a lot of times, even within the same line of business, you may see multiple controls being defined to do the same thing, or you could also have similar controls across different organizations, but having different testing procedures, basically lack of standards. Now, this is where Aspire is able to look at the control environment, identify the level of duplication that exists, as in this case, it's identified for this organization that 28% of the controls are in fact duplicate. It again does a slicing and dicing in terms of the control themes, essentially those functional areas where there is a lot of duplication, and also provides a breakdown in terms of duplication within the same scope, within different scopes, so on and so forth. Now, whatever I just went through, right, in terms of identifying those siloed elements of GRC, making the connections, or looking at the signals, or identifying the control redundancies, ultimately results in this one thing, right, which is an auto-recommended test plan. Essentially, with Aspire, risk managers, compliance managers, analysts are able to define what their optimization program should look like. Now, we provide optimization across 3 swim lanes. One is in terms of control performance, one is in terms of the signals that the product is looking at, and the other is in terms of the network intelligence. Now, based on all of these, the risk managers can dial up, dial down the level of control that they need in identifying when and how they want to optimize. Now, we provide 3 optimization strategies, as in this case. For this particular customer, it actually came back and said, hey, from the list of controls that were out there, Aspire identified the amount of duplication, and based on one of these strategies, aggressive, moderate, or conservative, came back and recommended that you could actually eliminate a whole host of controls and reduce the number of redundancies, and also does a level of optimization in terms of the number of control tests that have to be performed. Now, in this specific example, the number of control tests went from 4,000 tests in that year to 3,200, which is about 25% reduction in the number of control tests. But then the key thing to note here is we are not always talking about just yanking out tests, right? It is to be smart in when you test. So that is where you'll see there are 2 options where in some cases the product comes back and says, you know what, we're finding signals, so go ahead, don't wait for the next quarter, schedule the control tests right away. Or in some other cases, we say, based on what you configured in those dials, you're doing pretty well in terms of how these controls are working. There are no material changes in the process owners, control owners, what have you. So maybe dial down the amount of testing you do. Now, coming back to what this meant for this large global bank that we started with Aspire, this bank was able to identify, one, the root cause of the problem, which is a lot of, in every single case, for every single line of business, these assessments were conducted at preset schedules. We know risk doesn't wait for the next quarter, right? It can happen anytime. So we were able to break this particular the issue at the bank. We were able to identify the level of under-testing that happened in the bank. So this is where we found that about 30% of the risk events or signals from different sources were actually related, and we were able to recommend when a particular risk or a control had to be assessed. And we also looked at patterns of over-testing, right? So which is where a lot of controls were just being tested because somebody set the schedule up. And this is what it meant, in terms of the before and after stage, where we were able to, one, reduce the number of controls, which is the reduction in the amount of duplication. We were able to identify the number of issues which were also related, and obviously reduce the number of control tests. Now, folks, in the time we have, this is all we can preview here on the stage, but I'd invite you folks to come upstairs and request for a one-on-one demo. We're more than happy to provide those demos to you all. Now, as we talk about the product, right, we're very proud of the products we build, but all of this is made possible because of a strong platform, and I'd like to welcome Joy, my partner in crime, who heads up R&D, who's responsible for the strong platform on which we build the product. Joy?
Okay. Thank you. So hi, everyone. I'm Joy Bhaumik. I head up the engineering. So if anything doesn't work, you can blame it on me. Today I just want to thank you. Just wanted to give you a quick preview of what is coming next and what we already have. We start with the release we made last year. It was focused primarily on low-code, no-code. And we quickly will go through what low-code, no-code is. But this is like rushing through. But if you need any kind of deep dive for any sections, please let us know. We have certain schedules, sections, and presentations also in terms of getting into the details of each of the areas. But this low-code, no-code, the main reason for introducing low-code, no-code into the GRC world is to bring this whole rapid application extensions and development, right? The idea here is, as the regulations are changing and changing rapidly, we want to ensure that the GRC platform itself can support that from the core, right? And that's the idea. We also know that we have been releasing versions of our platform every 4 months. With Refredis, actually, we did a pause. We actually changed the cycle to a yearly cycle for last year and this year. And going forward, again, we will resume to the 4-month cycle. The idea here being is, every time we do an upgrade or we release a new version, we want to ensure that all of you are on the latest version, and so that you can take the real advantage of the platform and the product features. To make that happen, we want to ensure at the core that all the business logic you have is completely upgrade safe. And to make that happen again, it's easier to be saying that, but I know it takes a lot of time today to actually do the version upgrade, and we have overcome that with this low-code, no-code platform, that if you move to the low-code, no-code environment, then it is completely upgrade safe. Whatever business logic is written, right, it's completely upgrade safe. It's almost literally a lift and shift, right? And again, that with low-code, no-code, we also bring in how we can personalize your application. You can actually do a lot of stuff through configuration. You actually have areas where you have to do not write a single line of code, and actually you can actually take advantage of the platform itself. So out of the box, we are the only GRC platform product company today in the world which has published 300 GRC specific APIs. So we have around 30 plus objects, the GRC objects, which we call, which is a core to our platform. Risk being an object, for example, process, controls, and the interconnection of those comes out of the box. Not only that, we have now exposed this through APIs, which we call business APIs. It's publicly published. It's on our website, the documentation of all the APIs, how you can actually interact with these objects from outside world through REST APIs, completely upgrade safe. It has authentication inbuilt, so you don't have to worry about security. It is over the cloud. You can access these APIs over the cloud. So this gives a real power to you if you really want to start injecting data into the GRC world, or you want to take out data from the GRC world, right? Now this actually gives it's an animation here. It shows you the power of the low-code, no-code. What we are trying to demonstrate here is that the business logic which you have written, right, it can be almost written in a single line today, right? Now, apart from that, the GRC obviously has an intense workflow. The workflow logic, the navigation of the workflows also can be managed with very few lines of code. Now, how is that possible? We have given out-of-the-box APIs. It's around 600 plus APIs, which is the internal APIs, not exposed to the outside world. you can invoke those for every step of the workflow. Now, in order to make connections to the outside world, for example, Prasad mentioned of the vulnerability scanner, today you do not have to write again a single line of code. Through configuration, you can actually make the connection to the scanner, to the point solutions, and bring volume of data by scheduling how frequently you want to bring in the data and connect to the ecosystem, right? Now, also on the advantage of the low-code, no-code here is that once you have these business APIs, you have the connectors, and then you have the whole internal APIs through which you can actually write your business logic. All of that comes together when you actually want to do reporting, for example. So you can actually do your own reporting. You can actually create the info centers. You can actually create the charts and the graphs, the reports using the same platform, right? And bringing all the data together. So this was released, low-code, no-code was released last October, right? It is available today. It's called Euphrates 1. And now the next journey is our Euphrates 2, where we are bringing the complete revamp of the UX, the user experience. Now, this is an upgrade to what we have today. The reason that we invested a lot into the UX journey, because we heard you. The navigation was not that easy. So we have actually now made it much easier to start with. So if you'll see, a lot of improvements has been done on the dashboarding technology, on the workflows, the templates, which is basically the user interface, and also the collaboration, how we can actually collaborate between each other, right? That has been a major focus in Euphrates 2. That is going to be released in April next year, but the first phase of that is already GA'd. It's available for you to do a preview. We do not recommend to use it right now, but we will actually do the demo of that. The real version is coming out, the GA version is coming out in April. Now, in this release, we have made a lot of focus on the user interface, right? As you can see, it's tabular, it's easier to navigate. On the left-hand side, it actually talks about the key data elements, which is available for the user interface. So if, for example, here you're trying to enter the risk data points, right? And it also allows you to seamlessly see the connection between the various objects, which is also very dynamic, right? And that can be captured in one single pane, if you will, right? So the number of clicks where we wanted to make sure that when you trying to navigate through, we want to reduce the number of clicks, and that has been a primary focus. We actually did collect a lot of this user inputs from some of you. Thank you for that. And we actually put an engineering behind it to see how many clicks are required to do a particular task. And from there, we started optimizing it. So for task inbox, for example, this is just an example of the task inbox, where you can actually now filter. You can add the columns, whichever you would like to. You can personalize it, again, based on your needs, right? And then basically you can do sortings and filterings on it, right? So on the insights, we have put a lot of focus, as you saw, that we have AI-led insights. We have made sure that the dashboarding, the overall health, in terms of the key metrics you want to actually show and present, you'll see a lot of graphics has been now brought in out of the box. Now, this bar chart, stacked bar chart with line, area chart, these are some of the few elements you see. Obviously, it's not possible to put everything on the slide, but these are the building blocks for your dashboards, for your reports, for your charts. Now, all of this is actually available to you, not only for the platform, not coming from the platform only, but also the product level, and also you can extend what you see out of the box from the product. So all this can be used in your board reporting, for example, right? Or in any kind of senior management reporting you want to do, right? Now, this is one of the glimpses of a dashboard, right? This is a enterprise risk management dashboard, where you have to use the same building blocks, which is the charts and the graphs, to build all of this. Now, the beauty of this is you can actually go ahead and customize it, right, based on your needs. You can control the access of it. You can actually show it to the relevant users you want to, right? You can hide information. All of this is interactive. So for example, if you click on open issues and you click on the Q2 2022, the whole dashboard gets refreshed right? So there's a whole interaction, whole collaboration happening between the widgets. And then on the top of that, you also see, I'm sorry, I'm running out of time here. Also, you can look at each of the widgets. It has some animations, and you can control those animations. You can control the color of those, right? So the whole idea here is to give you the power in your hands how you would like to see that fit into your organization, right? So thank you, and I think after this is a short break. So I'll invite back Prasad.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you. Thank you, Joy, and thank you, Raghu. We do have a session set up to showcase and demonstrate some of the capabilities of this low-code, no-code platform this afternoon, I believe around 2:30 p.m. And Raghu and I are available, and our teams, to do one-on-one demos of our Aspire product. So please feel free to stop us. And if you have any other questions, we're here to address those questions and happy to assist you in any way we can. And thank you.